and adjustments to the roster.
You see that WGS looking like they're going to be rolling out probably on a 3-3. They might keep this Widow, but I find it unlikely. It could just be a scout. But the Widow is very traditionally pretty good on Ruins. EM running on a traditionally EM comp. You see Doha on that Sombra, though. No Doomfist or Sparkle, but on that Fair instead, Unique going to be playing the Mercy, going for the pocket. So it is going to be the triple DPS for Mystic. WGS looking at this composition. They're going to roll back to spawn, make some swaps. Definitely getting a Winston, maybe swapping around and getting some other players. Yep, that's going to go Sombra. Very good against triple DPS.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to go with the Sombra 3-2-1, go the Winston, have more options to dive. But the issue I have with this composition is that this still gives Sparkle the skies for free, where they're just going to be looking to get onto a point, and Sparkle immediately strikes, gets Oparo out of the fight immediately. And this is a problem. How do you deal with Sparkle in this situation?
I mean, right now, they really can't deal with Sparkle's Gable Shoot. That has to be the defender of Sparkle, has to keep him locked down. But the first flip going the way of Element Mystic. Now WGS are locked into the corner. They're trying to play the cover. But when you're playing this cover here, unless you're able to punish Alpha in particular, or maybe find MCD, they don't have a lot of targets.
You see EM right now, sitting around the point, just bullying WGS out. Valentine gonna get caught out, and again, the person you have to look to here is Sparkle, where Sparkle, the only person that can go in on him is the D.Va, and Sparkle, for now, getting so much damage done around the outskirts, and then on top of that, if you're worried about the far, you're not worried about the Widow. Now, WGS, they threw everyone to a point, they end up recapping it. The downside to EM here is that they still have to keep people on the point, they're not as tanky.
Well, even as you say that, their players are going down. Gable, she gave his life early in the fight to pick up Unique, who was hacked. WGS actually trying to go for that hack on the Mercy strategy and then go forward to Gable She to get that pick. WGS, they don't want to lose this flip just yet. Valentine going to be using the rally as EM respawns. They're coming back. As soon as this rally's faded, I would expect Doha to probably use this EMP, but Ace has one of his own.
Doha, waiting for the EMP right now, going up and over. Not going to get as many. Oh, he actually gets 5! I don't even know I get 5 from that position, but Sparkle right there with the follow-through. That is ridiculous, because where WGS was set was an area where usually you can avoid everyone getting EP, but not in this case.
No, not in this case. And with that EMP going out, catching almost everybody, WGS is going to be falling. But some time got off the point there for WGS. They did win the fight. They did get the flip, so not all hope is lost. They can move back to this fight with an EMP, with a D.Va Bomb. And OWC also coming up on that Primal. So they have resources. They have options to win this next fight. For EM, they can't get caught by Ace's EMP. They can't get isolated. And this Valkyrie and this Nano have to be huge.
And the EMP just targeting the farm Mercy, using it to get rid of Sparkle immediately. And now they're camping the body. They realize that if they go away from the body, that if they leave the high ground here, Unique's just going to come back in and res up Sparkle. They wait for Sparkle to respawn back at base, and now they're going to push towards the fight. That's actually very intelligent.
And waiting, stopping the body from being res. And Unique also having that good reaction Valkyrie, but it's completely wasted because that entire fight, WGS was waiting it out. They weren't even battling. Doha going to be hacked right now as WGS moves towards the point. They get the flip. And EM, they have no point presence right now. They're still waiting for Sparkle, who's down again.
Yeah, Sparkle getting caught on the other side, going to get res back up. This time the body not being camped, but EM now in a bit more of a bind here. The problem is for WGS though is that Doha has another EMP, builds EMP just quicker than really any other Sombra around. And now we'll see if this time around they can have a better split versus it.
And you see that initial gauge come in, actually, that Mystic, they sort of forced the Coalescence, which isn't a high value out, but already 2 down for WGS. They decide to commit the EMP anyways after those deaths come in. The flip is definitely going to happen, EM getting the point here. I don't even think the EMP was necessary, but they committed just to guarantee the flip.
The EMP, I think, hit all of 2 people towards the end. They already had pickoffs, but I think the issue is that Doha was already in the mindset of committing for the EMP. Nice pickoff coming in from XZ here, and that's actually going to buy them quite a bit of time.
They'll buy some time off the clock. Now for EM, they have to get value from these ults, so they use the EMP. And Doha, if there's one person that's going to get the EMP up in time, where they can get some more value, can get another fight, it's going to be Doha. As WGS, they move in, they will have the rally, they will have beat, they're coming up on the EMP, so a lot of ults they're going to have up to survive this coming fight with the EMP.
Sparkle with the barrage on the Ace and the recon site. Just make it so we can see the Sombra in time. On top of it, now man advantage. WGS are out of time, moving over to the point. Final fight opportunity. They drop the beat. Sparkle looking for shots over the top. Doha, meanwhile, 63%. Not close to EMP yet. XZ gonna fall. Now an opportunity for WGS. Remember, they have Meteor players to on the point. They're getting more progress. EM is trying to burn through it. Valkyrie in progress. Moving around. WGS to get the flip.
They get the flip, and Alpha is actually able to get Gable She off the map. So no D.Va in this fight. WGS are still holding the point. They do have EMP. Doa gonna have an EMP of his own. Right now, it's who gets it off first, and Doa is caught. There's no EMP on the field right now. Can they pick him up? Because Valentine's already dead.
Well, Doa might have gotten caught, but Doa lives. They use the EMP back on the other side. Oporochi down. Exi following through. WGS down 3 members as Alpha cleans up with Doa starts. Sparkle still in the skies, uncontested. And the flip goes back the way of EM. Now WGS trying to look for the Miracle back in, but likely too far gone at this point.
Definitely too far gone on this. InnoCast did get the Primal, but it's done now. They don't have the heals. They don't have the sustain they need on point. All of EM is there. They have their healers. The Coalescence out for Noah, but it's too little, too late. It's cleanup. And you have to give a lot of credit towards Alpha on this Winston, who not only survived all this time as a solo tank versus this composition for WGS that has Gable Sheet on the Diva, which is the tank killer, the solo tank killer. If there's one tank that can take out Winston, it is Diva consistently. But Alpha stayed alive, got value, enabling EM to stay on the point and get that flip and win those fights.
One thing that I thought was interesting is that even with the advantage of, Sparkle having a lot of room, WGS was still able to get onto the point and live to a decent degree, that they were flipping the point even as EM was floating around trying to take people out. So in terms of just playing the point game, WGS did a lot better than expected. I mean, that was 99-99 in the end. And even with EM having the presence that they had, it still goes back to the entire point that a composition that's a little bit tankier has a big advantage when you go directly for the objective.
It does. The WGS also had an interesting strategy for the neutral fight where they went for the hacks on Unique and then sent Gable Sheet after that Mercy. They weren't able to execute it the rest of the round, but initially it was a great strat. They managed to work it out. As EM, they're actually rolling out on Sombra Goats, on that Sombra variation, and seeing WGS on the triple DPS, actually the quad DPS with Noah on Soldier. They're going to be going back and making a swap of their own. And look at the spawn, look at the swap games. The swap games
this is spawn chess. That's what we're going to call this from now on, spawn chess. Both teams swapping up heroes repeatedly. Neither team wanting to be on the losing end, and EM saying, we're going to take an extra turn of spawn chess here, and as a result, we'll be giving up first control, but they're going with the composition that they feel is superior.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to be making the right moves in spawn chess, the right opening gambits. And WGS, they already locked in on 2 of their solid heroes, so even though they were still making swaps, they could commit them to the point to get the first flip. And now EM, they made the final flip they want. They're on the Sombra Goats. WGS win in the standard 3-3. And WGS's goal here is they want to win this backline more early, but Doha is already at 82% EMP.
Well, this is also a matchup that EM is incredibly good at, just running the 3-2-1 against the standard 3-3. It's how they did so well last season, and now WGS are in the mid. Fine, because as I say, Doha, he'll TP up incredibly quickly, but XC's gonna fall, and even with EMP coming through soon, WGS, they buy themselves even more time. They're at 40%. They win the battle of spawn chess, and even with that early pickoff here, they could lose the next fight and still be fine.
EM now going to be moving back in. They only want to use one ult to win this fight. If they want to be true masterminds of ult economy, MCD with the Nano could potentially just use the Nano on Alpha, but they're going to commit the EMP. They come in now. They're trying to get those picks. InnoCast already down. That should be the finisher, all they need.
Yeah, I mean, the 4-man EMP there, easy enough for EM, but WGS, A, you had to know the EMP was coming here, and B, you're still in a pretty good spot, 65%. You only need about 2 more good fights to seal this out, and at that point, maybe you run the odds and you stay on the 3-3 versus 3-2-1.
Sea-Dog getting a little bit of poke. EM coming up on a lot of their ults. It's going to be almost 5 ults for EM versus really about 4 for WGS. So a pretty solid ult economy for them.
WGS dropping on down, Transcendence in reserve. EM still looking to build the EMP. Sparkle can open up with the Graviton here, forcing out the Transcendence on the other side. Both teams trading out. Meanwhile, you look at the other game that's going on here. Doa, 70%. Graviton out, forces the beat on the other side. EM getting forced off point, and WGS again, single-mindedly heading over to the point. No one might be falling, but they're still looking for the flip. They take down XC on the other side, and they are able to push in the EM before the EMP comes out.
Before the EMP comes out, partially from that shadow from InnoCast, it just moves around the shield. And what's so important for WGS was they get the point presence using Ace's Grav as almost a zoning tool, stopping them from the contest. Because remember, when Grav's on the field and Doha's on that Sombra, there is no Diva to eat. There's no Diva to zone Ace. It's free Grav City. Now EM have to come back in and look for that EMP. Oporochi cannot be caught. Needs to be high.
So coming up from Gable C, not going to hit the way he wants. WGS getting hit by Doa's EMP on the other side. They Graviton invested as well. Alpha gonna fall. EM very discombobulated on this, and even if this worked out, they invest both EMP and grab, and already down Alpha. WGS turning around. The Bionade hits the back, but they might be able to sustain on that. The heals come back up. XE knocked off the ledge, and WGS looking like they're going to take this round.
Well, right now, WGS's point presence is essentially unstoppable. They have a fully charged ace. There is no tank players that are currently alive. They see the grab come out, a free grab, and Overwatch played that masterfully. This is the end. There's no way that EM wins this, especially with Sparkle going down. Overwatch was not only not caught by the EMP, but when the grab goes out for Sparkle, he has that boop to deny the charge for Alpha. So Overwatch being a huge playmaker for WGS.
And the interesting thing for me is that even if WGS had lost that fight, they were in such a good spot where the initiation coming in from EM was not very good. I mean, on top of it, not only do they use EMP when they're not really ready to fall through, but as a result, they have to burn Graviton to compensate for the fact that the EMP wasn't very good and they weren't in position. So they used both EMP and grab there, and WGS still had a huge lead in progress. So, okay, if you're EM, you win that fight. What do you do for next fight? You still probably lose. So WGS right now is actually playing quite well.
We're going to be on our third round of Ilios here, the decider. This is going to be determined who takes this first map of the series. WGS, EM running out on that triple DPS that we saw previously with XE on the Widow. WGS is here looking for the engage.
It's going to be Valentine versus Sparkle in the air. Ace versus Doa in the Sombra battle. And you look at GableC right now, just putting very good pressure onto Winston, getting Alpha out of there. 41% build. And GableC off on a stealth mission here, going far to the back. This could be brilliant or absolutely disastrous. And, well, there's a sleep dart. Put this one in the disaster category. Execution from XE. It's going to be man advantage here with EM as they move forward.
And now that GableC is down, there's no Diva on the field, there's no Tracer. XE is free to take these angles. In OCAS, he's being pressured by the rest of his team. He can't actually get that support. And when look at the comp that WGS is running. When GableC was on that Tracer and InnoCast on that Hammond, they were looking for engages onto XE in particular, looking to zone him. The sleep is out though. Can they keep XE alive?
Well, you're absolutely right, and that was the downside of GableC falling there, is that the shackles off XE were essentially released where, oh, I'm a Widow, I can just walk up, I don't have to worry about being pressured. Where you look at XE right now, XE always watching the backside, and XE gonna fall. Hammond, Tracer, all getting back there. Now WGS, it means that Valentine has a lot more room to work with and being aggressive towards Sparkle, and you look at this, far in the open for Valentine because you don't have to worry about the Widowmaker right now. GableC gonna fall. Now 5-on-5, EM coming all the way back, and Doa has EMP in reserve.
Doa has EMP in reserve. They're not going to need it, though, because this fight is done. Sparkle getting that finishing rocket onto Valentine. WGS now having to reset. 50% already going to be on the board soon for Element Mystic, who have the EMP. They're coming up on a Primal. XE will be back. So WGS, they have to find some entry frags. They have to find an answer here. They can't let XE have that free space, but now they're going to have to worry about the double-pronged threat of Doha engaging on them, setting up their EMP.
Well, the EMP... Oh, wait, Doa's off the map? Doa either got knocked off, got intimidated off. I'm not sure what happened, but man advantage WGS. They don't have to worry about the EMP at all. This is very scary for EM. As WGS, they get to roll in, all ultimates up, but they might not even have to use much to get the reflip. XE already out of the fight. The mine's being used, and that's going to be WGS getting the reflip. And I just wonder what happened to Doa there.
And also on top of that, at the end of the fight, Ace decides to commit EMP. So WGS just used Pulse Bomb, Mines, and EMP. And a fight that was a lot of ways run with XE and Doha already down, and they had the superior positioning. And when you look at the time base, 78% for Element Mystic already. They're going to pop this Emperor site right now. They're going to know where they're at. Not only will Alpha's engage be very strong, but Doha's engage will be very strong because of this Emperor site. WGS has to be very defensive right now.
This is a very tough position for WGS to be in. See XE under pressure towards the back. Doha moving towards the front right now. Sparkle, air advantage, dropping in with the barrage, takes out his counterpart, ends up falling. Both teams suffering losses there. Overwatch gonna get the res, but XE punishing on the other side. It is very back and forth between both ends, and this is actually not the worst for WGS if they can stay on point. The problem is Alpha, tankier, forcing back. Overwatch gonna fall, and it was close, but not close enough. The only upside for the WGS, EM did use quite a bit.
They have one more engage for WGS. They can move back in here, have another contest. They're gonna get mines. They will get that pulse bomb. And knowing that Doa does not have EMP, knowing Sparkle, and Alpha don't have ults either. They can look for Nickes, they can look to actually burn Alpha or Sparkle. They have some options here with that Tracer. They can look to use that superior damage.
Sparkle wins the Pharah duel. Doa in the back finds Noah. And with those 2 early pickoffs, that should be it for EM here. It'll be very, very difficult for WGS to bring on back. OWC trying to go for the classic hero Tracer moment, but just outgunned, outnumbered on the point. WGS still trying. OWC gonna fall. That's gonna be it. EM gonna be taking first map here on Ilios, but I have to say, closer than expected.
Closer than expected. WGS had a good mind on they had a good eye on the swap game. They were trading frags where they needed to, but really when you look at that last round on Ilios, a lot of this was because OWC's Tracer was not getting the value that he wanted. And you see, it's really summarized by that clip right there. The sleep and the execution. Not that essentially that was his entire performance is getting slept and then killed, but the reality is when you're running that Tracer and you're into that solo take Winston, especially against an Ana, you should be able to hunt and take down that player. There's no one to peel, there's no one to really stop that damage, and he just could not get the frag.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I fully agree. What thinking about that round is that if you're going to commit to a Tracer, the Tracer has to get a certain degree of value, and unfortunately, the sleep there did set the tone where I agree. It's not the entire story, but the reality is you take a look at the pressure coming in from OWC, it just wasn't at the level needed to actually put EM on the back burner for any significant length of time. And even given a gift where Doha falls off the ledge, you know, I think the issue there is that you see WGS come back in and they still just very much over-invest. But regardless, WGS still had a better showing than expected. EM potentially vulnerable, but we'll have to see. Control, it could be variable. Still 3 more maps to go. We'll be back after a short break. Mystic up 1-0 after the first map, but WGS proving a bit resilient, able to take 1 round off the defending champions. And you know, so far it's the eternal battle where Mystic running things more DPS oriented, WGS being a little bit more tank oriented in the round they were able to win. It's how much damage can you do around the point versus how much can you actually stay on the point.
And Mystic, they are masters of being able to stay on the point while running compositions built around Sombra. I mean, Doha does not get caught. Doha's also, well, he did get caught there. He got fell off the map once. But other than that, Alpha makes sure to stay alive. He's prioritizing his life. Their backline isn't dying, is not getting caught up by that pressure. And really the story of Ilios was they wanted to trade out on their triple DPS comps, especially that last round, but they weren't getting the value they needed, pressuring Alpha, even able to find the backline at all. And all allowed was that Sparkle in particular, and Exy was getting all the room in the world because they were so busy trying to chase a backline or a front line they could not find. They could not.
Well, we're going to have a bigger test of compositions and strategies here. Moving forward into Volskaya Industries, and You know, Volskaya going way back has always been a map that's been pretty beneficial to Sombra, especially on point A. You know, I think back, it was Volskaya and Route 66 that, you know, initially got quite a bit of Sombra plays. So, you know, for EM, definitely a stronger map for them. But again, for WGS, they've retooled their roster, and we're still figuring out, okay, what are their strong points, what are their weak points, and Ilios closer than expected. So there's quite a bit that's going to be figured out here, where we talked about this in NA Contenders, but the first week or two of Contender season, it's always all about benchmarking. We don't have the full storyline set up. We have some remaining from the previous season, but now we get to figure out what these teams are all.
And it is this benchmark process. And really, it's a process that lasts for a solid 2, even 3 weeks into the season. You do need some time to get better here. You do need some time to decide how our teams stacking up against each other. Because also, playing against Element Mystic might be a very different experience than how you perform against O2 Blast or even Runaway. Because Element Mystic, obviously, a much different style than a lot of these teams, even though they have shifted the meta paradigm in a lot of ways that we see in Overwatch League now, with more of a Sombra focus, more of a flexible focus, rather than relying a lot more on the 3-3, which we've seen in the past. So very important to see how these teams perform, and then, you know, judge accordingly, rather than just like, oh, they lost to Element Mystic, obviously washed. Bye-bye, guys. Like, no, it doesn't really work that way. And also plenty of time for that arc of improvement in the season.
Might take a look at WGS here on the defense. They're going to be running with a 3-2-1 with Sombra and Ana. So hedging their bets with the Ana and running a Sombra of their own. EM, meanwhile, again, coming out more DPS focused, where Sparkle, if he's not on the Doomfist, very much likely be on the Pharah.
So Hack goes out onto Sparkle right now, getting pocketed by Unique. Also getting the orb from MCD, who is on that Zenyatta. And you see how Mystic, their goal right now is they want to enter the point slowly, get that poke damage onto the shield of InnoCast in particular. And you see that WGS now, they're forced into this room, onto the mini, trying to play it, because Ace has hacked it, so a little bit of extra healing.
This is not usually where teams like getting forced into in Volskaya. They'll usually go for the big health pack room on the other side. There's not as many options to get out here. I mean, it's basically one door, where EM right now is able to cover all their exits in one go. Sparkle, plenty of room to work with. XE going to find Valentine, and this is really difficult position from WGS, and XE more than willing to punish.
She is very high charge right now, does take down Sparkle. XE is currently asleep, so no damage on the field, but with Noah down, it's only a matter of time. This point is over. Element Mystic have capped it. And you touched on it, but the rotation was very odd. It was very weird for WGS, where they go to the mini, where not only are they more boxed in, but they don't control the Mega. And Mega is great to sustain on point and constantly rotate, rather than a mini. It's just literally less health. So a very, very odd rotation for WGS, who I think felt pressure, and they had that shield presence pressure, and so they had to swap, and they felt like they needed to get to the cover as soon as possible. They gave up so much positional advantage, and now they're in a position to be snowballed.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, again, would you like to hide in the room that has 2 exits or 1, and the room that has a bigger health pack? So I don't think it was the ideal rotation. EM moving forward, Doga, drop the EMP, hits 3. They're looking for Ace. They're going to get Ace, and that is real rough for WGS, because they're about to have EMP. 2-man advantage here. The EM offense is picking up speed.
She needs to live right now, and he is down, so now the grab, the bubbles out of the fight. WGS have to re-enter this point now. The EMP is available for Ace. EM, they don't want to get caught, in particular MCD, he can't get caught, and you see this early barrage coming out, just denying the backline. Even though Sparkle will go down, getting the backline so early is so good.
That is a worthy sacrifice there, especially given that EM already had 2 ticks on the point. A very quick offense here, and I mean, it's just a classic snowball here on Assault maps, where if you win point A decisively, it's very easy to bring that into point B, and man, you think about how that worked out there. WGS, I just have to go back to the rotation, where of all the places to rotate in Volskaya, they picked probably the worst place to rotate against the DPS-heavy composition.
And it was just unfortunate, too, because for the snowball, they're stuck on compositions, on heroes they don't want to play. You see Valentine makes the swap to Genji, who's like, well, there's no Brigida, they're playing Widow, they're playing Zen, so Genji is great to coordinate with my team and get onto that backline, but Gablesheet is stuck on Zarya. He's stuck on Zarya, they're hard committed to that composition because he's 91% to the grab at that point. And if you swap then, it might give you a better chance for the neutral fight, but you're not in a neutral fight because EM has ults for that push, so they had to commit to the grab. They felt they needed to. And Zarya versus triple DPS, dive, it's a very, very tough hero to play because you're just sitting there watching your team get shot, and EM is very, very smart, and they're going to, more often than not shoot your bubbles and not give you energy, so you're a 0 energy Zarya, just tickling people as they kill your team.
Not the ideal situation to be in, to put it mildly. Now, look at EM's defense coming out here. This is an interesting take. on Volskaya, where I don't think they're in a position that they're going to be able to swap again. And they're going to be running with XC on the Widow, and then otherwise, you know, a 3-2-1 setup. So normally when EM runs a 3-2-1, they run it with a Sombra. And, you know, in first point Volskaya, oftentimes you'll see a team run an Ana just to be safer against DPS comps, but EM, a different take.
See XC peeking very aggressively here. And I do like that I do think it's an interesting take with the Widow, where the Widow forces WGS to reassess, well, I can't really play Pharah as confidently into this, because XC will be hunting me. Could they still make it work? I think they could, but they're just going to choose to swap and go Sombra Goats, which I think is actually the better option, because if they deny, well, actually they say that, they're actually going to go swap anyways. So what are they going to be swapping? Full 3-3? Okay, yeah, okay. That does make a lot of sense as well, because now they can just fully commit onto running over Alpha or Sparkle.
Thinking about how much DPS compositions tend to bully tankier comps on point 8 Volskaya, I actually think the Widow adaptation here is incredibly smart, specifically because, as you say, it shuts down the Pharah. It makes you go to either a 3-3 of your own or a DPS comp that's not running Pharah, and either way, I think that's a bigger edge to the defense.
I still think it's workable when you have that Mercy pocket and the Widow does not have damage boost from a Mercy of their own. But just safer for WGS, like seeing this composition and XC stuck on the Widow, that if you just play full 3-3 and focus on the frontline battle, but as they say that XC gets Valentine on the cross.
I mean, that's a key part. You can't let your Brigida get picked by the Widowmaker. That's almost a dream coming out from XC. And now without the Brigida, how are you going to fight Element Mystic man-to-man? You're not going to. Nice shot on the Orochi. And EM is going to be holding.
And I actually sort of disagree with WGS's take on this fight, where they chose, well, they assessed correctly, like, we're much stronger in the neutral fight, we're much stronger than the front line, because we have a D.Va, and Element Mystic does not. But a lot of times, the value of running these 3-3 compositions as opposed to running more DPS-centric compositions is that you win the fight on point. And if you just rotate to the point, not only do you reduce the openings that XC has to get on your backline when you're just trying to do the cross over the top high ground, but also it forces Element Mystic to drop to the point and fight you, which also would further reduce the sightlines for XC. So, don't really agree with their take on that fight. Now they're in a situation where they've given the Infrasight to Element Mystic, they've given the ult to Element Mystic, time burnt off the clock, and they're having to make a very long rotation.
And they're just waiting out the Infrasight right now. We're pushing into Infrasight, even as a tankier composition, not usually the best idea. But speaking of time, time has been burned off and then some. 2 minutes and 20 seconds already off the clock, a minute 38 remaining. And EM more than content to just hold back here as WGS continually reevaluating how to move in. They're going to move in from the Mega Pack room. And you look at this, Graviton up from Sparkle, immediately uses it on getting it. And EM just going to casually roll forward.
Good read for EM. Knowing that they're going to have grab before all this portals for WGS because that early fight win for them. Also, they saw how split Gable She was from the rest of the team, so the Matrix is too far away. It was going to eat the grab. But WGS are just reading this fight wrong so far. I mean, they're taking so long on these rotations where they don't have all the time in the world. They need ults. They have the superior team fight comp on point. And instead of just taking these fights on point, they're just rotating for such a long distance. They're so afraid of XC. They're so afraid of XC despite the fact that they have all the resources they need to make sure that no one should get picked. And now there's a situation where we're getting into last fight territory, ZP.
Yeah, it is very much last fight territory. And long rotations set up a fight. It's great when it actually works, but there is a price to be paid in the sense that you essentially lose fights by waiting so long. And this time, WGS, they don't go for a fancy rotation. They're just moving first. They pay a penalty in terms of D.Va health, but that's about it. EM, meanwhile, getting poked down the side. Doa and Sparkle getting very low. EM going to use some of the currency they've built up at the point, give up a tick, heal up, move back in. Alpha looking for a Shatter. They're trying to win the shield war, and Shatter going to be coming on down. Knocks down 2. Fall through, moving forward. Noah out of the fight. Now, XC moving in. Recon side up. But EM right now in danger. Losing 3, make it 4. XC unable to find anything, and Sparkle built up the grab late fight. Unable to use it.
And WGS finally making the right play there. It took them a while to do it, but I think that was... They recognized their advantage. They knew they had ults. They knew they also had to go to the point. Because it was getting to it was the last fight territory, but if you just take that fight to the point versus the Widow, you're going to be so much stronger there in the neutral game. Especially if you're able to remove them from the high ground choke approach you did. Now they're just getting first, they have grab, they have bombs, they have some ults they need. They know that Unique will not have the beat. They know that XE will not be close to the rally, don't have close to the EMP. So they have options here to trade out grabs and then win the neutral fight.
Just going to move forward, trying to test the high ground here. Early Transcendence out. In response to Sparkle's Transcendent or Graviton. He's getting into it. And I'm moving forward. Shatter in on the other side from Alpha. And that's going to be enough to take down Eno. And EM going to repel the attackers for this point B assault.
And that was probably the best possible trade that could have happened for EM in that fight, other than saving more ults. Because they removed Grab, they removed Trance, they removed Shatter, Bomb, they removed so many ults for WGS on top of the time. And now they're going to have an EMP, they're going to have Rally. They have ults to follow up, but WGS, even though they have Rally of their own, it's a dangerous fight for them because they don't want to overcommit. They don't want to necessarily commit Rally in a fight where they just get EMP to lose.
Well, the scary thing there for me is that what do you think about contesting high ground that aggressively, going into that tiny of an area? And ooh, Orochi down. Just gonna be a quick snipe out from EM. And again, buys time. WGS, they don't have a lot of it left. Already, no matter what, they're gonna be setting a slower time bank. But 2.5 minutes, that's at the point where there's no guarantee they even get point B.
I mean, I think the read from WGS was once again right. They were running a standard, they were running a better ult economy game when they were still on the 3-3. So they're like, well, let's take the fight into them first when Doa doesn't have EMP. But they just got denied because Unique was waiting on Lucio and just gets the boop, denies Ace that high ground. You see once again WGS engaging with the rally.
EMP out from Doa in response, and WGS still alive here. Rally keeping them plenty healthy. EM unable to head into the room that actually deal with it, so they've gotten through the first hurdle. The EMP, not a factor anymore, and Doa's not going to be able to build it up really for most of the rest of this fight. Now they have to rely on Sparkle. Graviton in reserve right now. And the scary part here for WGS is that they're not wearing the Zen anymore. They don't have a Transcendent, so the Graviton actually incredibly scary.
0 defensibles for WGS right now. You see the high ground loss. There the grab come out. It is actually going to be the duo grab. Catching several. Can they get even? The boop, though, so huge, but Gableshi is down. That should be fight.
Graviton gets one, and that's all that was needed to be done there. Eno going to be unable to get out. And Mystic repelling WGS once more. And EM going a little bit deeper, farming a little bit of extra ult charge, and WGS are getting down to what could be their final fight.
Though Ace actually so aggressive in the backline, picks up MCD. MCD obviously wasn't going to pop that trance because it was a solo push on him. They're not going to be waiting for him to respawn. He will be back in time for this next push, but a pick that shouldn't really have happened. WGS moving in, will have double support, will have the EMP, will have grab. This is their fight to win, and a fight, I think, out of all the fights, this should be the fight they need to take, because also they need time. They need time left on the bank.
Well, also the other issue here is that they have to EMP first. The battle between Doa and Ace, and just who goes first is incredibly vital here. Doa right now holding it to the back. Ace looking for the same opportunity. We'll see who's going to strike first, who's going to drop the EMP. We see W just moving forward onto the point, but the point battle not really relevant compared to the EMP battle right now. Both Summers feeling each other out. Doa gonna go in over the top, drops the EMP, does not hit Ace. Ace can come in with the EMP of his own. EM gonna get struck. Barrier out from EM, not time to save MCD. MCD got caught, MCD dying with Transcendence. There's a shatter from Eno. And Element Mystic falling on the point to WGS. That was well read by Ace.
Well read by Ace. Good beat by Orochi, and then Unique's beat just not in time to save MCD, who now has to trans back to point. Is going to get the delay. We might see them running down to the 0. Yes, they will. The delay is going to be good enough to where there's going to be no time left on the clock for WGS. And even though they'll probably win this resulting fight, they do have the superior position. They do have the superior numbers. They have lost that time. But no, Noah is down. Alpha going to the backline with XE combining to get that frag.
EM's trying to bring this back. Just when you think WGS might have it, they let EM back onto a point. The Graviton connects. And WGS unable to finish it off. Though it's hard to get too disappointed in the end result there because, as you say, even if they had finished out the point there was enough delay to bring it to overtime, so they were not going to have a 6-minute hold in all likelihood on point A just to make it drop. So at the half, it's going to be EM up 2-0 over WGS.
And really, WGS, they're reading these situations right a lot of times, but they're just not able to get the execution that they need. That was finally an execution on that offense where they finally got the right conditions, but they had lost so much time already from the first, and then the resulting pushes that EM was denying them. They just can't capitalize. They can't capitalize on their own read. EM right now, honestly, are looking like just the superior team at an individual level. On not even looking at further beyond the team fight, but they're just in making individual plays to deny WGS, who may have the right reads on some ideas, but they just can't execute the properly because EM just seems to be so much better.
Well, EM up 2-0 after 2 maps of play. The new WGS roster, of course, embarking on week 1 of what is an incredibly tough schedule. Will they be able to mount some degree of resistance for the final 2 maps? We're going to find out in just a few minutes.